You bought a camera, you learned how to use it, and now you're wondering, can I actually make money as a photographer? The answer is yes. And today I'm going to be breaking down 5 proven ways that people are making money today at the end of 2025 as a photographer. From traditional client work to digital content creation, I'm going to be covering it all. So let's get to it. All right, so the first way you're going to be making money, this is the bread and butter of photography. It's going to be pretty obvious, so I'll get it out of the way, is client work, taking photos and selling your services. So whether that be doing corporate headshots, doing weddings or engagement photography or events, things like that. This is how you're going to make a lot of money traditionally and pretty quickly normally as a photographer. It does take a lot of time to build a portfolio and build a list of clients, through word of mouth, things like that. But there are things you can do to get yourself started. The first thing I would recommend you do if you're kind of pursuing this path would be to do a couple free or really cheap shoots in the domain that you want to work in. Let's just say you want to do weddings or even engagement photos. If you have no portfolio, you've never done this before, it's going to be very hard to find a job that's going to be paying, really well or up to market if you don't have anything to prove that you can do this and that you're a good wedding or, event photographer. So in this case, you can either try and find one of your friends that just got engaged and offer to take free photos of them so you have something to build up your portfolio and show future clients. Or if you don't know anyone who's engaged or getting married, you can just ask a couple friends or even hire people if you really need to. But most people can find someone who's willing to do it if you offer to buy them lunch or something like that. And you can ask 2 people to kind of stand in as models and pretend they're getting engaged or whatnot. And you can kind of take photos and build that as your portfolio. Same thing for, car photography. If you really want to get into that, you can ask one of your friends who has a cool car, even if it's not a cool car, just the idea of getting the angles and kind of understanding how it works. You can ask them to come by and take photos of their car. When it comes to traditional client work, building a portfolio is really important. From there, I suggest you kind of look into the market and see, what other photographers are charging, and then build a plan whether you want to be a little bit cheaper to attract a different type of clientele, or once you've kind of established yourself in the industry, then you can build up your prices and kind of start selling a quality or a premium service. But that's number one, by far, the most traditional or easiest way to make money is by selling your services. So number 2, the second way you can make money is by selling prints or selling presets, things like that. I will kind of preface this by saying it's not as easy as it sounds. There's a lot of people kind of pursuing this same path online, so be wary of that. And to go this route, it definitely helps if you have an established presence or an established following across social media, because if you've kind of developed your own unique editing style or unique style in photography that people like and you have a large following, then they're going to want to buy those presets or buy your prints. So this one's definitely a little harder. It's a bit maybe down the road for some people, but it's definitely a way of passive income. If you set up a print website or presets and you can kind of just have that running in the background, you never know, one day you'll wake up with a few sales and it's just kind of making you passive income as you go. So once you've established yourself, this is definitely something I recommend setting up. You can actually sell prints physical copies if you'd like, or you can ship them, drop shipping websites and things like that do that. Or you can even sell the digital versions of your photos, or, like NFTs. It's not really my thing. I'm not into that, but it is an option. So look into that as well. But selling prints and presets, great way to make passive income as a photographer. Definitely check that out. The third way I've seen people make money, and obviously this is kind of, the dream, I guess, for a lot of content creators, would be to monetize your content. This, through either YouTube or TikTok or Meta, being Facebook or Instagram, things like that. You can monetize your content and make videos that will make you money. This sounds a lot easier than it is, especially with the influx of people in the past few years who have really kind of tried to be a YouTuber or a content creator for their career. It takes a lot longer than you think. I mean, trust me, I'm literally doing this right now, but it's tough. It's a really competitive industry. So it is a way though, if you end up building a following and you're kind of following that path, you definitely can monetize and you definitely can make a lot of money. It's just really difficult to do. But look into creator funds. Again, be wary of countries. Being in Canada, the creator funds are very different than some places in the States or some places in Europe. TikTok, I don't even know if they have one right now, a creator fund. So Meta's just introducing monetization to Canada, I believe. So depending on where you live, this may or may not be an option, or maybe easier or more difficult. But if you can monetize your content and you want to go that path of being, a content creator as a photographer, definitely something worth looking into. Again, kind of passive income. If you're going to be doing this anyways, you can kind of monetize off of it, or you can really, not make it passive income, but try and make it a career goal. So keep that in mind. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4, or the fourth method of making money, is kind of related to number 3 in the sense that, you do ideally need a bigger following and kind of going the content creation route, but would be brand sponsorships or brand collaborations or affiliate links, things like that. So if you're active and kind of a known member of the photography industry, brands or certain brands will pay you to either use their stuff, talk about their stuff. Some will even sponsor you. For example, Canon will give you a camera to try out, and you're a Canon affiliate. You're sponsored by Canon. You talk about their products. They give you discounts, or they give you products in exchange. Even as a photographer, it doesn't have to be all camera related. It could even be things like, a jacket company, if it's kind of an outdoor sportswear company, but you're a photographer who's really into nature and, hiking and kind of outdoor photography, you can get sponsored by this clothing company to wear their jackets. I'm always outside in the rain, always outside in the cold. This jacket is, a game changer for me. Or, these gloves or these shoes, if you're, doing that. Sunglasses, if you're out and about. There's a lot of different companies or industries that can be touched and that you can kind of collaborate with. It doesn't have to be a camera company or camera gear company. Obviously, that's likely if you're a photographer or something you're kind of aimed at doing, getting kind of products like tripods or cameras to test out. But I'm just saying, my point here is don't limit yourself to only cameras or camera gear, things like that. You can kind of branch out into, a lot of different things within or that are connected to the photography industry. Also, like I said, affiliate links, these are not necessarily full sponsorships or full collaborations, but you can get a link that, if you're kind of endorsing a product, anyone who buys that product using your link, you'll get a little bit of a kickback from that. So that's another way you can do it. Again, it does require a bit of a kind of an established brand or an established following to start, but it is a way that you can do it. And what I would suggest is reach out, go on, emails and DMs on Instagram, Facebook, things like that, and just spam a bunch of different companies that you're interested in working for. If you send 100, maybe 1 or 2 will answer. It's worked for me. That's how I've gotten deals in the past. So just a heads up, I would suggest doing that, because if you don't reach out yourself, unless you're a massive brand, they're likely not going to reach out to you. So reach out to them first. The worst they can say is no. There's no harm in trying. So definitely recommend that. Number 5, finally, another way you could make money as a photographer is by teaching. Believe it or not, this is still a thing. And actually, I've seen it kind of, in my opinion, on the come up. Something that a lot of people are looking for or starting to do is teaching photography. Whether this be through like an online class through your website or through an app like Skillshare or something like that, or in person one-on-one photography groups where either you do something like one-on-one, as I just said, or you do a group session and you show people and you teach people how to properly take photos. You don't have to be a master photographer to do this. You just need to be, a little bit ahead of everybody else, that kind of just a notch up. But you can teach people either virtually, as I said, in person, online. You can do that. You can even teach people editing. You can teach people how to edit photos, how to use Photoshop. There's a lot of different things in that realm that you could teach people. And a lot of people these days, they're so busy, they don't have time to, necessarily YouTube it themselves and really spend 2, 3, 4 times the amount of time trying to figure it out themselves. So if you're, willing to teach them, these days, a lot of people actually have more time and more willingness to actually reach out to, an expert or somebody who knows what they're doing in the industry for help. So highly recommended you check that out as a great option if you're into that. So those are my 5 ways I would say as a photographer you can make some money, at the end of 2025. It's still, a very viable option, and you might have to work weekends, or if you really want to quit your job, go full time. It's very difficult. It's a lot of work, but if you love what you do, then it's definitely worth it in my opinion. So just a quick recap: traditional photography, selling your services, weddings, events, headshots, things like that, selling prints, presets, merch, things like that, monetizing your content, making content as a content creator, or working with brands, or teaching people. There's tons of different ways you can make money out there. And it just takes a little bit of work, and you got to be creative. There's a lot of photographers out there. There's a lot of people who don't necessarily see the value in photography because they have an iPhone and they can take photos of their cafe themselves. But if you really show them what you can do and the difference on social media to stand out high quality photos makes, people kind of see that value, and they're willing to spend the money for it. So hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, send me a DM on Instagram. Always answer my DMs there, or you can drop a comment in this video, and hit like and subscribe if you're interested in photography videos. I'm gonna try and make some more content. I've been haven't been making as much content, but I'm kind of back on the horse, so hopefully I'll be putting out more videos soon. So I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Peace.